What is up, everybody? So as you guys know, I do a lot of these not to buy phones and to buy phones and all these other type of videos. And today we have another one, and this is the iPhone 7. And this is a phone that's pretty dope because for me personally, I have the Plus version of this phone. So it's pretty much the older brother or even the baby daddy if we're going to get technical, or baby mama too, I don't know. And one thing that I always hate, that I literally hate about every single phone, is that it automatically comes with automatic brightness. And I find it the most annoying thing ever. And as you can see here, it's had it enabled, so it's never even accurate. Like, oh god. But I think that's good enough for the screen. So we're going to take a look at the top 5 reasons as why to not pick up the iPhone 7 in 2018. And this might change later on, but this is how it's going to go. So the first thing, and this is actually a reason not many people know about, but the home button is a reason probably for some of you not to pick up an iPhone 7. And it's actually not a real button. It's actually a virtual button, if you will. There's a vibration motor inside of it, so it doesn't really click down at all. And the reason that isn't a good thing is because this button is not user replaceable. So even if you open up your iPhone, you cannot technically replace just the home button. You can technically replace the whole display, but Touch ID wouldn't work. You would have to go into Apple to get this fixed. And the reason that is a downside is because, let's say if you had like an iPhone 6, for example, or 6S, if you break the home button, you could technically fix it depending on the severity of it. But if like something randomly stopped happening or Touch ID stopped working or whatever, you could technically fix it. You would have to obviously change the logic board too, but yeah, in this case, the home button could be a downside for a lot of people, and that's probably one reason why I wouldn't really recommend it. The second reason is, it's kind of close to the iPhone 6S in a lot of ways. It really didn't bring too many features, and it is noticeably more expensive than the iPhone 6S. So in a lot of ways, you will be spending more money for almost the same thing. I mean, especially with iOS 12, the iPhone 6S also supports group FaceTime, actual group FaceTime, not just audio, the Measure app, AR Kit, all those things. So really the jump from the iPhone 6S to the iPhone 7 wasn't as big as it was from the iPhone 6 to the iPhone 6S. So keep that in mind if you plan on getting a phone like this. If you think this is 100,000 times better than any phone out there right now, please consider that the iPhone 6S is also still a viable option. The third thing is that battery life isn't too crazy, and it's really never been more obvious until like the battery stats came out with iOS 12, because I am running the beta on here. So if you go into battery, you actually get more of a basically like viewpoint of the battery, and you can see more of your usage here and see what apps you're using and all of that. And I will say battery life isn't that amazing on this. It's definitely better than the iPhone 6S, but still, compared to a lot of other phones out there, I mean, you'll probably still find yourself charging it by the end of the day, or even having maybe like 10-20% on like at the end of the day, probably even less if I'm being honest. You'll probably have to charge it by the end of the day. I mean, I'm already at 57% and I barely have ever even used this phone. But you can always get this battery replaced by Apple for $30, so keep that in mind if you plan on getting this phone. And I would highly recommend any of you guys doing it. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense to just keep your phone there on an older battery. If you have the chance, I mean, I did it for my iPhone 7 Plus, and hopefully by the end of the year, I'll probably do it for my iPhone 10 as well when I switch. So now the next reason is because this phone, if you get it right now in this month specifically, I would kind of tell you to wait. I mean, the next iPhone is going to be released within the next couple months, and apparently there's like 3 iPhones being released that day as well. So you probably have a better chance if you plan on getting it, just wait a couple more months. If you can wait a little bit longer, if not, get the iPhone 6S. But I would really not recommend you to get an iPhone right now. And this isn't necessarily just an iPhone 7 thing, but it is an iPhone thing overall, because honestly, there's not a lot to hate on this phone. I'll be honest, it's not a horrible phone at all. It does its job. It's fairly decent. And yeah, but it's just so close to the next iPhone release, it just kind of doesn't make sense to do it. And now the last thing is actually the removal of the headphone jack. Now, a lot of people are going to hate on me, this and that, but it is kind of a downside. Me personally, I don't care. If I'm being honest, I don't care about a headphone jack, but a lot of people still do. And with the removal of the headphone jack, it really kind of narrowed out a lot of people who could potentially get this phone. I feel like they could have put one in here, one last hurrah, but it's really just that. I mean, there's no headphone jack. It's not the end of the world. You can just get AirPods, but that is kind of a downside and a drawback if you're considering getting the iPhone 7. And those are just a couple things. Like I said, guys, there's not a lot to hate on this phone. It's not a horrible phone at all. It's very middle of the road. It's not polarizing. It was a very safe phone for Apple to do. So I think the iPhone 10 was a lot less safe for them, but I think it's a very good phone. But those are just the top 5 reasons as to why not to pick up an iPhone 7. If you do for some reason plan on wanting to get the iPhone 7, which I would highly recommend you guys to do, it's a very, very good phone. I'll leave a link in the description so you guys can go buy it and help support the channel as well. But if you guys have any questions or anything like that, leave them down in the comment section below. Hit that like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. We're still giving away an iPhone 6s and an iPhone SE on the channel, and in order to enter, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Both those links are down in the description, so make sure you guys enter that. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.